Area 88 is a game that I stumbled across while I was working on something completely different. While I was doing research on it, I found that there's a whole bunch of other stuff tied to this game that, well, basically this game is based off of. And yeah, it's really awesome. I really fell in love with this game while I was playing it. And while I was watching the anime, I was just really digging that as well. It somehow made the game just a little bit more fun to play. I watched the anime first, then I started playing the game, and man, this was just a ton of fun. I am so glad that I found this, and I'm just really glad that I got to experience it. I was looking for the US version, but nope, I found the Super Famicom version instead. So Area 88, also known as UN Squadron in the US, is a side-scrolling shooter that is based on a manga and also a few different animes. It takes place in a fictional Middle Eastern country, if you're playing the Super Famicom version, and that country is experiencing a civil war. The manga and the two different anime adaptations have different endings depending on which one you want to follow. These games also seem to have different endings as well, and I'll get into that a little bit later. The game does not follow the story of at least the anime that I watched. This one, you're fighting a terrorist group called Project 4. And that seems to be the case for both UN Squadron and Area 88. I'm not sure why exactly, but maybe they didn't want to give a definitive ending to this. In the game, you are basically shooting down enemy planes, which gives you money that you can use to buy better planes and better weapons as well. That's a part of this that I was really digging. I love it when games do that. And I was really excited that this game did it because you don't see that often on a console. For some reason, when they do the arcade ports, they generally just do straight arcade ports and they don't add anything like this to it. When you start the game, you can choose between one of three different pilots. I don't remember one of them from the anime that I watched. It's possible that he was there, but I don't remember him all that much, to be honest. The characters are Shin Kazuma, who is the main character for all of the stories, his friend Mickey Simon, he's there. He's a very important character, just not the main one. And then the other one is Greg Gates. Greg Gates is the character I don't remember from the anime that I watched. He was probably in there, but I felt like there were other characters who maybe could have been better off. It's possible that he was better developed in the manga or in the 2004 anime. There are also some power-ups that you can pick up while you're playing the game, so you don't have to completely rely on the shop. Those power-ups just increase your basic weapon, so your machine gun gets stronger, and they also clear the screen of enemies at a certain time, and then you can also repair your ship as well, or your plane. I've gotten way too used to playing space shooters, so I just kind of call them all ships. The game looks absolutely fantastic. I really love the way this looks. In my opinion, this is the best shooter on the Super Nintendo. It looks great, it plays great, the sounds are awesome. The fact that you don't have to deal with a lot of the garbage that you normally would deal with in your traditional just arcade shooter is wonderful. In this one, you actually have like a life bar. And yeah, that's way better than just the single hit level memorization that you would have with something like Gradius 3 or Super R-Type. Don't get me wrong, those games are great too, but this one just seems to be so much better and more console friendly. This was in the arcades, but from what I've read, it doesn't seem like it was in this form. It was closer to what an arcade shooter was, where you were basically just pumping quarters into it in order to get through. Here it seems like you don't need to do that much, and I think the game is better off for it. There are some notable changes from the anime to the video game. The anime is more grounded in reality, so you're not fighting the same giant spaceships that you would be fighting in this, or sorry, just the giant aircraft and the giant tanks that you're fighting in this. In the anime, you're mostly just focusing on the characters, especially Shin. He's, at least in the 85 anime that I watched, he's really struggling with what's being asked of him. He gets tricked into joining this foreign legion that he's in, and he really doesn't want to kill people, but he's being forced to because the rules are you either serve your 3-year term, or you pay a penalty in order to leave early, which is $1.5 million, or you die. Those are the only ways out of this situation. And in order to earn money, he needs to shoot down enemy pilots. In fact, in part of the anime, he only needs like 1 or 2 more in order to make the money that he needs. And he ends up wrecking his plane, which sets him back $500,000 and kind of screws him over a bit. But yeah, it's a really wonderful story. I really enjoyed it. The game is awesome as well. So the endings of these games. I played Area 88. I didn't have UN Squadron, so I had to kind of look up what the endings of UN Squadron were. I don't think that these games have alternate endings, but just seeing the end of Area 88 and comparing it to UN Squadron, I think there might be, but I'm not totally sure. I would have to play through UN Squadron in order to see it, or see if there have been multiple ways to get through the game, and that's not something that I saw. Both endings kind of play out similarly, with the 3 pilots, the main characters from the game, just flying off into the distance after they've defeated Project 4. But they don't seem to really end in the same way. There's something that I'm missing, obviously, because the ending for Area 88 has you defeat some kind of a flying ship and then fly off into the distance. Whereas UN Squadron, it seems like you're fighting in a mine of some sort, and you have to escape as fast as you can, or you just need to make it to the ending. And then you fly off and you have your 2 co-pilots there, the 2 supporting characters in this, kind of happy that you made it out alive. It was weird to see that, and that's what made me think that's what made me think about just how I played through it, and if I got like a good ending or a bad ending, or if that was even possible, or if they just changed the endings for this. So I talked a little bit about the anime already, but I wanted to go more into it because I was really digging the 1985 anime. It was just really awesome. I thought the animation was great. The story was really, really good. And the character development was just spectacular in this. There is one plot line. So you have 2 plot lines. You're following Shin while he's at Area 88, which is just the name of the military base that he's at. And then you have his girlfriend and the asshole who tricked Shin into joining the Foreign Legion. It's explained that Shin was going to marry like the company's, like this big airline company's daughter. Wow, okay, that didn't come out right. He was going to marry the daughter of the airline company's president/owner. There we go. And his buddy didn't like that, so he got him drunk and had him join the Foreign Legion. And that whole plot line that's back in Japan has his former buddy take over the company and then try to fabricate that Shin died while he was fighting in the Foreign Legion, and then the daughter basically trying to expose the bad guy, get the company back, and hook up with Shin again. Shin ends up getting out. He ends up getting amnesty, getting out of the country and everything. But because he's just a very changed person, he just really enjoys killing people now, or at least is more used to killing people. He can't really see himself. He can't really see himself having a life, or at least the life that he used to have. So he ends up returning to the battlefield as like this big battle is taking place, and you don't get a conclusion. It just sort of gives you an open ending, so you can kind of decide how things worked out for Shin and everyone else. This is different from the manga's ending, where Shin loses all memory of Area 88 and goes back home, and also the 2004 ending, which is different as well. So that's what got me thinking about all the endings for the video games, and how this one property has just multiple endings depending on what way you want to experience the story. And also, I just really loved the anime and everything like that. I thought it was absolutely wonderful. It was so cool to just sit back and watch this over the course of a few days. It's always interesting when you come across a game like this and you find out more about it. You get more into the story. You find the different properties and everything. And it's even more fun when you find a video game that's based off a licensed property that's just really awesome. Like, really awesome, because that didn't happen that often, especially back in the early 90s and definitely in the 80s. That was a huge rarity. But yeah, Area 88 is so much fun. It makes me wish that there were more games based off of this. And I'm sure there are. I just haven't found them all yet, or haven't really done a good job of looking for them. But yeah, this kind of breaks the mold for a lot of Capcom's games, especially their shooters. A lot of their shooters were top-down view, so vertically scrolling. Well, this one is a side-scrolling shooter. And it's just a really awesome one. I was having so much fun with this game. I didn't know anything about it before starting another project. And yeah, I think this is probably the one that I played the most for that. I was working on a best shooters on the SNES, and I wanted to try UN Squadron, but I couldn't find an affordable version of that, so I got the Super Famicom version. And yeah, it's just really awesome. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and definitely let me know if you've ever played this game before, or if you played UN Squadron before. Talk to you all later. Bye.